Hello my chickadees and welcome back to my channel. It is the end of May, so that means it's time to pick my TBR for June. So in this video, I'm going to pick 9 prompts from my TBR jar. If you'll notice, I updated the little TBR jar from last time. So now we have this mug that I got a few years ago at a thrift store, and it just has all these different birds on it. Isn't that so cute? So we have a cardinal, red-headed woodpecker, Baltimore oriole, and blue jay. I think this mug is so cute. I have another one, but I don't really use these very much, so why not use it as a TBR jar? I also had too many prompts before when they were on post-it notes, and so I couldn't really like swish them up very much, so I've updated them to be like little skinny ones. So I've added a bunch more, so there's probably at least 50 different prompts in here. Some are newer from last time, so this should give some really good options. But we're gonna go ahead and do this. Last month I think I picked 7 books from the TBR jar because I also had 2 additional books that I needed to read, one for book club and then one just cause, that was The Night and the Moth. I think this time I don't have any books that I absolutely positively have to read. My next book club meeting isn't until July. We will be reading Tender is the Flesh. I don't know if I will read that in June or if I'll read it in July so that it will be closer to book club meeting. I probably will do that just so it'll be fresh in my brain. But it's a pretty short book, so I'm not super concerned. Like maybe I can slip it in here and there. But as far as May goes, out of all of the prompts that I picked, I think there's only 2 books that I didn't get to. I usually try to get about 8 to 9 books in a month. So I did pretty good with my May TBR, and I added in a couple of extra books that were unexpected, some nonfictions and other things in there. So that's what we're gonna do. I'm going to pick 9 prompts from this. The goal is to pull from my physical TBR. I'm currently doing a challenge where I'm trying to read down all of the books that I currently own because I'm on a really tight budget right now, so I can't go out and buy any new books. So I'm trying to read through. I counted that I have 111 unread books on my shelf, so I'm trying to work my way through them. So far I have completed 3 of them. As of the recording of this, I'm working on my 4th one, but yeah, let's do it. All right, so the first prompt will be this one. All right, this says we pulled this one last month, a blue cover. All right, the book that I pulled for May that had the blue cover was North is the Night by Emily Raff. Other options that I have that fit this include Midnight Library, The Bone Season. It's not blue all over, but there's quite a lot of blue and there's some red, but I think I would consider this to be blue. I got this at a thrift store, so it's missing its dust jacket, but it's We Hunt the Flames. The book is blue. I could look up what the cover looks like, but I'm just going off of this. This is blue. The Will of the Many. I really want to read this. I, for a moment there, was going to say I think I should put North is the Night back on, but actually I think I'm gonna do this one because I have been really wanting to read this. I also recently shared a video that was talking about books that I'm intimidated by, and I want to try and read them. Like, I've not heard anything bad about this one, so all right, I think I'm gonna do that. So book 1 is going to be The Will of the Many, and that is a blue book cover. All right, let's do book number 2. I'm not looking. Pulling one from way down here. I want this one. This one specifically. Ooh, a signed book. You see that? A signed book. I have a few. I have Together We Burn by Isabel Ibanez. So I got to meet her at Y'all Fest back in November. She was so lovely. I got several books signed by her. So I got both What the River Knows, Where the Library Hides, Together We Burn. Did I also get Woven in Moonlight signed? No, I didn't. I thought I did. It looked like I did. I think I got this after. What else did I get? I got What the River Knows, Where the Library Hides, that. I think the other book I got signed I gave as a gift to somebody. So this is an option. I have been wanting to read this. So that's one. Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken I also got signed. Again, a lot of these books signed were from Y'all Fest. I got The Winter King by C.L. Wilson. I met her at MegaCon in Orlando. I do have a signed copy of Air, but I want to read the Ember and the Ashes series before I read this one, so this is an automatic no. I think the only other one I have signed is this copy of Cloud Cuckoo Land, which is signed, but I don't really want to read this. I've heard really good things about it, but I just don't want to read it. Let me read the backs of these. I want to read this, but maybe not right now. I think I might do a coin toss for these. All right, so it's going to be heads, The Winter King, tails, Together We Burn. All right, so it's heads. So we're gonna be doing The Winter King. So that's book number 2 for a signed book. So The Winter King is an epic fantasy romance. After 3 long years of war, starkly handsome Winter Etrialan will have his vengeance on Summerlee's king by taking one of the man's beautiful, beloved daughters as his bride. But though peace is finally at hand, Winter's battle with the Ice Heart, the dread power he embraced to avenge his brother's death, rages on. Khamsin Coruscate, Princess of Summerlee and Summoner of Storms, has spent her life exiled to the shadows of her father's palace. Reviled by her father, marriage to Wintercraig's icy king was supposed to be a terrible punishment, but instead offers Cam her first taste of freedom and her first taste of overwhelming passion. As fierce, indomitable Winter weathers even Khamsin's wildest storms, surprising her with a tenderness she never expected, Cam wants more than Winter's passion. She yearns for his love. But the power of the Ice Heart is growing, dangerous forces are gathering, and a devastating betrayal puts Khamsin and Winter to the ultimate test. All right, that's 2 prompts down, 7 more to go. Oh, I'm not supposed to look. Ha ha ha. This one. This is a green cover. Okay, green. The Night Witch. Okay, so it turns out that this is the only book I have that isn't a sequel or anything that has green on it. So, Night of the Witch it is. I got this on a whim when I was at Walmart one time because it was like $10 or something, but here's the description. Their love could never be forbidden. Fritzy is a witch, the lone survivor of a brutal attack on her coven. She's determined to find her only remaining family member and bring the Hexjägers, zealot witch hunters, to justice for the lives they ended. To do this, she will need to take down their leader, the merciless and enigmatic Commandant Dieter Kirch. Otto is a Hexenjäger, but that's just his cover. Years ago, the Hexenjägers burned his innocent mother alive, and he has been plotting his revenge against the people who tore his family apart ever since. And now the time has come for them to pay for what they've done. When Fritzy and Otto are unexpectedly thrown together, neither is sure they can trust each other. The reluctant truce, fueled by their common enemy, takes them from the city as the heart of the Hexenjägers' power to the wild and mysterious Black Forest. As old truths come to light and new dangers are revealed, Fritzy and Otto uncover a horrifying, magical plot at the center of the Hexenjäger attacks that leads back to Commandant Kirch, but their own growing feelings for each other may be the most powerful magic of all. So that's The Night Witch, which is the only green book cover. The closest thing I have to a green book cover. It's like lightning green, and it has, the sprayed edges are kind of cool too, so that's that. Next one. Okay, this works. Book I skipped in a previous TBR prompt. So obviously I just mentioned I didn't get to North is the Night, and the other book I had left was Titan Mage. These books are pretty long. The Will of the Many is pretty long. The Winter King is pretty long. North is the Night is pretty long. I feel like Titan Mage will be an easy read because it's just one of those like funny, silly, I know it's going to be spicy books, so I feel like it will probably read fast. So that's why I'm gonna pick this one. So I'm not gonna go into a really long explanation of what this book is about just because I talked about it in my previous TBR video, but basically it's this guy, I guess he dies and then he wakes up and he's like having to control this like steampunk airship and all these women are like thirsting after him. I think it's like a very like tongue-in-cheek kind of like very gratuitous sort of book. It does say that it is a harem fantasy adventure and it gives the warning that like, yeah, this is gonna be spicy, so I don't want to hear your complaints. So I don't know. I think it's gonna be just like a silly goofy time, so we'll do that one. All right, book number 5. I'm not looking. This one. Oh, I picked 2. We'll do this one. Okay. The next book in a series. Okay, so ooh, I want you to be able to see it so you know I'm not lying. Next book in a series. All right, so what unfinished series do I have? I could keep going in the Redwall series, which I do need to do. That's pretty high up there. I'm not gonna lie. I could read the next book in the Red Queen series. The next one is King's Cage. The thing is, I didn't really care for Glass Sword, and I'm kind of in this feeling of like if I never continued the series, I wouldn't be that mad about it. Eventually, I will read it with the goal of trying to read down my TBR, but I just don't want to read it right now. But I don't think I have like a lot of unfinished series on my physical TBR. I could finish Onyx Storm even though I don't want to. Ugh. Yeah, I think out of the unfinished series that I have, it's going to be Mossflower as part of the Redwall series. Even though these are all standalones, they are all part of the same series, but I have been kind of itching to get back into this now that my dad is way ahead of me on these. So yeah, I think it's going to be Mossflower. It's my goal to read the entire series before the end of the year. All right, next. This one. No. Come on. Is that one? I don't know. I hope so. Okay. 4.1 average rating. So I stayed up till 2 a.m. last night putting my TBR into like a list in my physical TBR on a list in Goodreads to help me keep things organized, but also in case I pulled this prompt. All right, so the 4.1 books we have Malice by John Gwynne. We have several Redwall books, but I'm not ready for them yet because I want to try and read them in order. We have The Ever King, which I started a few weeks ago and didn't really care about. The Only One Left, House, no, that's a book too. Mossflower's on there. Again, another one, The Dutch House, Blood of Elves. Vespertine, okay. Malice would be cool, but again, it's like we're picking all these like giant books. So I think I might do Vespertine. I got this several months ago and I thought it looked really cool. It has a bird on the cover, so we love that. The spirits of the dead do not rest. Artemisia is training to be a Grey Sister, a nun who cleanses the bodies of the deceased so that their souls can pass on. Otherwise, they will rise as ravenous, hungry spirits. She would rather deal with the dead than the living who whisper about her scarred hands and troubled past. When her convent is attacked by possessed soldiers, Artemisia defends it by awakening an ancient spirit bound to a saint's relic. It is a revenant, a malevolent being that threatens to possess her the moment she drops her guard. Wielding its extraordinary power almost consumes her, but death has come, and only a Vespertine, a priestess trained to wield a high relic, has any chance of stopping it. With all the knowledge of Vespertines lost to time, Artemisia turns to the last remaining expert for help, the Revenant itself. As she unravels a sinister mystery of saints, secrets, and dark magic, her bond with the Revenant grows. And when a hidden evil begins to surface, she discovers that facing this enemy might require her to betray everything she has been taught to believe, if the Revenant doesn't betray her first. Yeah, this sounds awesome. I totally want to read this. I remember seeing this in Barnes & Noble, and even then I was like, this sounds dope, but why have I not picked it up until now? I want to read this. This might be, I don't read these necessarily in order, but like this might move up on the list a little bit. So that sounds really cool. So I'm going to do Vespertine, which has a 4.10 star average rating on Goodreads with over 24,000 reviews. So yeah, that should hold up. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, 3 more books. This one. All right, we have Reminds Me of Summer Okay, summer's good for like a fun little contemporary romance, but it could also be like bright colors or the setting. What have we got? Set on You could be good. It is a contemporary romance about a girl she's like a fitness influencer, and then a guy who just like is a gym guy. They get together. So again, like I feel like easy romances or just like, you know, the things that you just read out by the pool to me are kind of summery. So that's an option. I kind of don't really have a lot of options summer-wise. Maybe I'll just do that one. Is this a sign that I need to get more books so that I can fulfill my prompts easier? I say as I do this challenge to intentionally try to not buy books. I'm just gonna do Set on You. The color's kind of summery, I think. Again, I feel like this is the kind of thing that's just easy reading that you just... My dishwasher decided to like finish making noise as I was talking. It has 1 minute left on it, so I might just kind of sit out and wait for it to finish so I can continue talking. Okay, it's done. This just feels summery to me. This is something that if I had a pool or if I was able to go to the beach, I would lay out and want to read something like this just because it's easy and low stakes. So I'll go with that one. 2 more. Brown cover. All right, brown. Not a lot of options. Gentleman Seeks Bride has some brown on it. Up here it's like brown and purple. I bought this as a joke. My friends and I went used book shopping and I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we all got one of these like dime romances to read? And I was the only one who bought one, but I genuinely thought that this one sounded fun. And I kind of, because I was like flipping through it at the store and I was like, oh wait, no, this actually looks like a good time. So this has some brown on it. And this is again something that could be probably really easy and quick to read. Would you consider this brown, or is it like yellow like gold? I don't know. I feel like it's brown. I get to choose. It's up to my own interpretation. I'm not gonna pick any of the red walls because I want to do them in the publication order. I always forget that I have books over there, but there's nothing that works for this. I feel like this might be too yellow. Like I have a couple of prompts that I know that this could work with, one being like reminds me of fall, another one's like a yellow cover. So like there is potential that this could get pulled again, but I don't really know that there's something that this could get pulled for. And so for that reason, I am gonna pick this one. Sorry, Trial of the Sun Queen, you'll get picked one day. Last prompt, because I'm insane and I pick 9 books. I won't get to all 9, but wouldn't it be great if I did? This one. Although that one wanted to jump out. This one. 4.4 or higher average rating. Woof. I've got Goodreads up again. At least one good thing about this is I'm pretty much guaranteed a good book. All right, so my options include Demon Copperhead, which has a 4.48 average rating. Born a Crime by Trevor Noah, which has 4.49. I could finish Empire of the Damned, which I started a year ago and like paused at 25%, but I don't really want to read that, but that's 4.56. The Will of the Many, which is already on the list for 4.6. The Nightingale with 4.64. These are all such long books. The Way of Kings, 4.67, which I started in January, got about 100 pages in and had to pause. Or The Ghosts of You and Me, which you probably haven't heard of. It has literally 66 ratings, but my friend got it for me at a book exchange. This is it. The cover on Goodreads is different than the cover that is in my hand. But The Ghosts of You and Me, oh, this could have totally worked for, reminds me of summer, but this still kind of works out because then my options would have been more limited for the higher than 4.4. But it says, Sun, Sand, Surf, Spirits. In most ways, Larkspur Island is just like every other beach vacation destination, except there are ghosts too, alleged ones anyways. As the daughter of Larkspur's local ghost enthusiast and ghost tour operator, no one knows the island's haunted history better than Sage Murray. She has no choice but to make it her life in order to keep her family's livelihood afloat. She's accepted the hand she's been dealt and is determined to make the most of it. until Dawson Aiken comes back into town. How can an old enemy turned flame that she hasn't seen in 10 years suddenly make her question everything? What happens when the past comes back to meddle with the present? There are some ghosts you have no choice but to believe in. So it seems like a little small town romance. Oh, it's signed. It's a signed book too. I didn't even know that it was signed. That's cool. To the perfectionist and non-perfectionist alike, your best is always enough. Even if on the days you can't be at your best, you're still enough. That's cute. That's really sweet. I want to save The Way of Kings for a time that my TBR isn't filled with such large books. Same with The Nightingale. So many of these books are large books. This is the smallest. And I'm not saying I don't want to read them because they're large. I'm just saying that so many of these books already are so large. I would rather like place it up against like other books that are shorter or not as like heavy. Like I feel like combining The Will of the Many and some of these other ones with also like either The Way of Kings or The Nightingale and things like that, I think that's just going to be too much. So I might do this one. I got this back in September at a book exchange. For Serena, if you're watching this, I'm finally going to read your book. So I'm going to go with this one. Let's recap this. Here's all the books. Look at them. Ooh. That's a big TBR for this month. I know I won't get to it, and I am being realistic about it, but I at least have things planned and ready to go. All right, so first selected for blue cover was, again, The Will of the Many. Very excited about this. Yeah. For a signed book, I picked The Winter King by C.L. Wilson. For a green cover, I picked The Night Witch. For a book I skipped in a previous TBR prompt, we have Titan Mage. For the next book in a series, we have Mossflower from the Redwall series. For a 4.1 average rating, Vespertine. For Reminds Me of Summer, Set on You. For a brown cover, we have Gentleman Seeks Bride. And finally, for a 4.4 or higher average rating on Goodreads, we have Ghosts of You and Me. So those are all of the books that I'm going to be trying to read throughout the month of June. Of course, there might be some other books get in the way. For example, Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil comes out this month. I will be going to one of the tour events with V.E. Schwab to hear her speak and also to get my copy of it, so that might make its way in. I have a few other arcs and things that I'm trying to get my way through as well, so that I can, I'm really trying to work on building up my NetGalley feedback ratio. But in general, these are the books that I'm going to be working from the most. So stick around and see how I feel about these. Over on my TikTok and Instagram, whenever I complete one of these books from my physical TBR, I create a little individual video talking about them. So definitely make sure to watch those if you're curious to hear my thoughts on these. But I will, of course, do like a more in-depth overview when I do my June reading wrap-up. Speaking of which, my May reading wrap-up is going to be coming out soon. That will be my next video, so you'll see that in a couple of days after this has been posted. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.